Now look at para number 6. She was a small yellow canary hanging in the air as motionless as a hummingbird, and with much less effort, for her wings were quietly folded along her sides. We stared at each other for a minute before I had recovered my wits. She did a kind of backward loop I am sure no earth-bound canary had ever managed. Then she departed with a few unhurried flicks. It was quite obvious that she had already learned how to operate in the absence of gravity and did not believe in doing unnecessary works. So now what narrator wants to tell in this paragraph? Now the narrator describes how beautiful she appeared at that time. It was hanging in the air motionless, like a hummingbird which can hover, fly backward or upside. Claribel's wings were not flapping like those of a hummingbird. Her wings were quietly folded along her side. It means her wings were close to her body. The narrator was so surprised that he almost lost his senses. However, he got over it only to find Claribel doing a backward loop like a hummingbird. So, it tells us something about this bird which has now learned to fly even in zero gravity. Nobody knows how it learned to swim without any gravity. She didn't believe in doing unnecessary work. Here is how the narrator got to know Claribel's presence in the space station. Now, what is going to happen? It was a question. Now, look at the paragraph 7. What paragraph is 7 saying? Now, you have to read the paragraph, as reading is very important. So read the seventh paragraph. 7 didn't confess her ownership for several days, although it was taken by Sven Olsen because he wanted to test for a pet that whether it was alive or not in the spacecraft. So Sven did not accept it for several days, that it was his, the Claribel was his only. By that time, it no longer mattered because Claribel was a general pet. He had smuggled her up on the last ferry from Earth when he came back from leave. Partly he claimed out of sheer scientific curiosity. He wanted to see just how a bird would operate when it had no weight but could still use its wings. So Sven wanted to take a test by carrying it with him to the spacecraft. He wanted to take a test. So Sven did not let them know. जो other people, they were those who were there in the spacecraft, Sven did not let them know about her presence, about the Claribel's presence, and did not accept that the bird Claribel was his pet only. Even the people did not ask him any question. Sven got leave a few months back. When he came back to the station, once again he carried this beautiful bird with him. He wanted to observe why he carried this bird with him, because he wanted to observe what would happen to a bird with a little weight and could still use its wings. So he wanted to see whether a bird which have a very light weight, whether it can use its wings without gravity, without oxygen or not. So it was the reason to carry the bird Claribel with him in this space station. Okay, so now this is the 7th paragraph. Now look at the paragraph 8. You have to read it. Claribel thrived and grew fat. On the whole, we had little trouble hiding our unauthorized guests when VIPs from Earth came visiting. A space station has more hiding places than you can count. The only problem was that Claribel got rather noisy when she was upset. We sometimes had to think fast to explain the curious peeps and whistles that came from ventilating shaft and storage places. There were a couple of narrow escapes, but then who would dream of looking for a canary in a space station? So, Claribel was such a bird which developed and survived. So, finally, what happened with Claribel? Somehow, Claribel developed there without gravity and without oxygen. It survived in the space station and it developed. Claribel was their unauthorized guest, for whom there were countless hiding places in case of visitors came up. So there were many places of hiding where they also could hide when any VIPs came there. So there were many places for Claribel to hide. She would become noisy when she was upset. Only when Claribel was upset, then only that time she was noisy. Otherwise, all the time she kept quiet. She would attract attention by her whistles and peeps coming from ventilating shaft and storage places. Okay, so this way it was Claribel was everybody was enjoying with the presence of Claribel. So now this was the 8th paragraph. Now you have to read the paragraph 9. We were now on 12 hours watches, which was not as bad as it sounds, since you need little sleep in space, though of course there is no day and night. When you are floating in permanent sunlight, it was still convenient to stick to the terms. Certainly, when I woke up that morning, it felt like 6 a.m. on the earth. I had nagging headache and vague memories of fitful disturbed dreams. So now look at the 9th paragraph. What narrator is saying in this? Narrator is saying that astronauts experience day and night in the same way as people do on the earth. The only difference is that they do it 16 times in 20 hours and we do it only one time. We were now on the 12 hours watches, which was now bad as they slept only a little. Okay, so the only difference is that they do in 16 times in 24 hours, that we do only one time, that is sleep. Okay, so we were now on the 12 hours watches and after 12 hours we went to sleep. So which was not bad as they slept only a little, 4 or 5 hours. So when the other scientists, they were in the spaceship, they hardly slept for 4 and 5 hours. So the narrator says that he got up at 6 a.m. in the morning with a nagging headache and vague memories of fitful disturbed dreams. He was disturbed for his dreams and that time he had his headache. Now look at the para 10. I was still half awake when I joined the remainder of the duty crew in the mess. Breakfast was unusually quiet and there was one seat vacant. So he went to take his breakfast in the mess and found that one seat was vacant. When he went to take his breakfast, he saw that one seat was vacant. Now see para 10, 11 and 12. Where Sven? I asked. He is looking for Claribel, someone answered. Says he can't find her anywhere. She usually wakes him up. So now see what narrator is saying there. He was made to understand when a seat was vacant. So narrator inquired of Owens, and then he was made to understand. He was given information about Sven, that Sven had gone to find Claribel, which did not wake up that morning. Before they could report that he too got woken up. He too got woke up by Claribel. He too got woken up by Claribel. He looked at Sven getting in through the doorway, which made them believe something was wrong. So narrator and other fellow, those who were present there, they were looking at the doorway and they were thinking that something had gone wrong. He opened his closed hand, in which Claribel, with a tiny bundle of yellow feathers and two clenched claws sticking pathetically up into the air. So what they saw? He is, look at the paragraph 12. He is looking for Claribel. Someone answered, say he can't find her anywhere. She usually wakes him up. So what Claribel did usually? He wakes up. He woke up Sven Olsen, but one day when it did not come to Claribel to wake him up, so Claribel went in its search. So before I could report that she usually woke me up, look at the paragraph 13th. Woke me up too. Sven came in through the doorway. We could see at once that something was wrong. He slowly opened his hand, and there lay a tiny bundle of yellow feather with two clenched claws sticking pathetically up into the air. So as soon as Sven Olsen opened his closed hand when he entered through the doorway, he opened his closed hand, in which Claribel, with a tiny bundle, like a tiny bundle of yellow feathers, it was lying on the palm of the Sven Olsen, with two clenched claws sticking pathetically up into the air. Now look at the paragraph 14, paragraph 15. What happened after that? What happened? We asked, all equally distressed. So everybody was in distress after seeing the condition of the bird Claribel. I don't know, said Sven mournfully. I just found her like this. So Sven replied that he did not know what happened with Claribel. He only found him like in that condition. Let's have a look at her, said Jock Duncan, our cook, doctor, dietitian. So who was Duncan? He was a cook, doctor and dietitian. That I have already told you when I taught you about when I was teaching about the characters. So we all waited in hushed silence while he held Claribel against his ear in an attempt to detect any heartbeat. Presently he shook his head. I can't hear anything, but that doesn't prove she's dead. I have never listened to a canary's heart, he added rather apologetically. So what he did at that time, after seeing the condition, Duncan, who was a cook, who was a doctor and dietitian, he closely examined the condition of the bird Claribel, and that time all the scientists who were present there, they were in silence. They were only looking the action of Duncan, what he was doing. So what he was doing at that time, Duncan was trying to listen the heartbeat of canary bird, but he begged pardon of all the scientists that he never heard heartbeat of any canary bird, but it did not mean that it died. Now look at the paragraph 17. Give her a shot of oxygen, suggested somebody, pointing to the emergency cylinder beside the door. Everyone agreed that this was an excellent idea. Claribel was tucked into a face mask that was large enough to serve as a complete oxygen tent for her. So now, at that time, when Duncan was examining the condition of the Claribel, that time somebody suggested that it should be given oxygen, because it had less oxygen, that's why it is in fainted condition. So when there were already emergency oxygen cylinders and there were masks, so the masks was joined by through a cable through the oxygen cylinder. So a mask was fitted on the mouth of the Claribel, but the mask was big enough for Claribel that its whole body get into the masks, and as soon as it get the oxygen, turn your pages, look at the page number 18. Look at the paragraph number 18. To our delighted surprise, she revived at once. Beaming broadly, Sven removed the mask and she hopped onto his finger. She gave a series of sharp trills, then promptly keeled over again. Okay, so what, as soon as it got oxygen from the mask, it revived, it again got his oxygen, and then his high pitched could be heard repeatedly. His repeated sound of chirping could be heard. Now it fell over suddenly because of the tiredness or illness, and then it soon fell over suddenly because of the tiredness and because of illness, and it revived its breath. It got again its breath after getting the oxygen. I don't get it. Look at the paragraph 19. I don't get it, lamented Sven. What's wrong with her? She was never done this before. So now this time Sven was lamenting. He was showing his grief, and he did not understand what happened with it, because before it never done this type of behavior. It never got this illness or this tiredness. Now look at the paragraph 20. For the last few minutes, something had been tugging at my memory, for my mind seemed to be very sluggish that morning, as if I was still unable to cast off the burden of sleep. I felt that I could do with some of that oxygen, but before I could reach the mask, understanding exploded in my brain. I whirled on the duty engineer and said urgently, Jim, there's something wrong with the air. That's why Claribel's passed out. I have just remembered that miners used to carry canaries down to the warn them of glass.